Good morning. It's Friday, June 18th, and we're going to go over our pre-market analysis. Must have been some news here. I just sat down at my desk, and it's there's this big sell-off here. I had a paper trade on this level. I'll show you kind of what happened there. It took a loss on it, but that's why it's just a paper trade. So it wasn't going to be at my screen. Um, yeah, I don't see any major news. We had some Canadian stuff that just got released at 8:30. Um, New house pricing index. I don't know. I don't know what this sudden sell-off is this morning, but that's okay. We'll just deal with what comes. So I thought yesterday was a pretty challenging day. It was a tradable day. It turned out to be a range day, but it was a really wide, whippy range. And especially like in here, it was pretty easy to get um, sort of fooled into thinking we were going to just start trending lower when we had this big sell-off. So this was a challenging day. There were some good trades in here. You ah, could have caught this move here, and I think that's where I caught my short. I had an order on for this one, and I sort of was done trading for the day, and I canceled the order, but it would have worked out. I kind of wish I would have kept that one on. But anyway, I actually took a loss yesterday. Yesterday was a tough day, but it was tradable. It just was, some days are winners, some days are losers. What are you going to do? Anyhow, so this level here was from yesterday. We had this little tight consolidation in here, right in here, and this red dotted line is the key level identified within there. The rectangle, the gray rectangle, sort of the broader zone, and so that never got tested yesterday. And whenever I see a level like this, like we would expect a reaction, we were expecting a reaction here from the bottom. I think that was actually one of the losses I took. And the reaction never occurred. We just blasted through it. And a lot of times when that happens, we expect that level to, at some point, get tested from the top side. Okay? And that didn't occur yesterday. So I kept that level on my chart and just was sort of noting it this morning while I was drinking coffee. And I figured sort of what the heck, let's put a long on in here. And so that's what I did. I just put a little long scalp on with a very tight stop and target. And we can see again what happened was price blew through that level. Again, if you have a strong level that you are expecting and price blows through it, reverse your bias. Take the opposite trade off that level because look what happened. Price blew through it, came down, retested it. Actually, almost gave you two opportunities to get in, but this was really the perfect retest right here, right before this big sell-off that we're in right now. Now, I was driving my kids to school when all this happened, so I wasn't around to take advantage of that, but that's how you can flip a losing trade into a winning trade, or at least get your losses back a lot of times. So that was sort of interesting. Man, now we're popping out the bottom. Let's go big picture because the market is changing and shifting, and I'm going to consider this level to be done and over with now. I'm no longer interested in trading this level. So, what do we got? What are we going to deal with here? So yesterday, see how yesterday was just like all tails. I mean, it was just a really whippy day. Now we're breaking down. Now bear in mind, this white channel is sort of our larger swing. You can sort of look at it like this. It's from this low up to this high. And so really we want to stay above this low right here. That's sort of, if we start to break below that, then again, I think we might get a little bit of a bounce here, this level here at 41.57. I would expect maybe some resistance, which would make sense, right? That would be like a little probe of this low. So you've got the support from the low, and sorry, the support from this this level here, 41.57, which is just from some consolidation that occurred within this move down here. And then if we continue to break down from there, really this more larger swing is from this low. And then I put it to this high because this to me was just all struggling highs. Some people would just go right to the total high. It just depends on how you like to visualize the markets and just how it makes sense for your brain. For me, I like knowing that we made this high and retraced and then sort of attempted to make fresh highs, but really struggled and failed. So that's why I leave that line there, because it gives me more of that sense of the struggle and failure of that rally, which I like to keep that in my mind when I'm looking at this stuff. You know, the daily is a little bit more clear, right? So with the control candles, you see the low, the high, right? Low, high, right there. But with the purple, I just went from this low to this high, and you know, that's kind of where we're at. So I want to stay above this white. If we continue to fall down, this is the next level I'm looking at, 4105. That's quite a plunge, but it's definitely a possibility that we could come down into something like that, especially because there is still some imbalance from here, right? There was some big buying imbalance in here, and a lot of times those imbalances act like gaps. You know, if you're familiar with trading gaps from overnight gaps in equities and such, large imbalances act the same way. And what we're talking about is the gap. So we have a big candle, right? Big candle, and the wick from the candle before it and the wick of the candle after it have no overlap, right? That's usually a sign of strong buying imbalance in the order flow, okay? It's a sign of it. So it's just a way to assess order flow, what's going on in order flow from the candlesticks. And those generally like to get filled. So the idea that price could come down here and test this level, which would be mitigating this imbalance, right? That's what we call it, mitigating the imbalance, testing the level, and then moving up is a very real possibility. The tough thing about that move is that, you know, do you want to put your stop under this low or do you want to put your stop under this low? Now, I think if we go to a smaller time frame, it's a little bit more clear that we could probably put it under this low right here, right? Because the consolidation is really drawn off of this. But, you know, if you want to be conservative, then you can do like a half risk here at 4105. And then if it drops down further, you can add the second half of your risk and then put your whole stop underneath the whole thing. That would be the more conservative approach to that. Again, just looking at what's happening right now, because there is some volatility coming in. We did probe out the bottom of this red channel, but we're back up inside of it. So that's interesting to see if we hold that. I don't really think there's anything left down here that needed to be dealt with. There was some major support coming across here. I removed that line because we already bounced off it so many times, but there's some major support, you know, from this area in here. And that's what sort of created all of that. And then we kind of broke down through it. So maybe we come up and test it from the bottom side before we drop some more. I'm not sure, but that's I removed that line this morning. So those are some of the major levels I'm looking at for today. I still have this up here, which is basically the you know, the big point of control that we had just from like all of this consolidation. And let's just take a look. I haven't taken a look at this since yesterday. I was away from my computer for the second portion of the day. I don't know if the point of control got moved. Yeah, so we're still basically, point of control is there, but this is so close, and I would keep this in mind, this level here. I would definitely keep this in mind as the larger time frame point of control. I definitely don't want to lose sight of that as a possible, because point of control could shift there very easily. And we don't want to lose sight of that at all. I'd like to just grab that. There we go. Let's make it a little bit thinner. Okay. So those are like our two big points of control. Not a lot of volume being established down here. So as this spike comes down, you know, trading's been kind of thin. Not a lot of price acceptance yet down there. If price is going to fall, we need volumes to build. We need price to become accepted at those levels. Otherwise, you know, the high volume areas act like magnets and pull price back to them. So prices tend to reject off of low volume areas unless there's going to be price acceptance and we're going to move through. So that's I guess kind of interesting. We still just have these two big kind of peaks, right? But like this is becoming almost like one big bell curve in a sense, right? And we're sort of approaching the bottom end of that, and we're certainly below what has been the accepted value, right? Accepted value is this highlighted portion of the profile, kind of goes across there, right? Really close to that bottom node, right? So that's sort of like generally accepted value for the past almost month now. And right now we're below that. So unless volumes build down there, especially once the bell rings, then I think we may come back up. And some of this, honestly, we've been so flat for so long, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I almost felt yesterday like some of that wild whippy action was just um, the market makers and institutions creating liquidity, rally the market up, everybody puts orders in with stops below, and then ratchet back down, hit all those stops, collect all that liquidity, and then vice versa. So that's what it felt like a little bit to me yesterday, but um, that's just all speculative. I'm not an institutional insider, so don't take my word for that. Um, so yeah, so let's just look at where we might look to trade today. Man, this price action yesterday was just so messy that it's really hard to grab levels off of. That's kind of the hard thing. I still like this level up here if we come up 42.35. I still like that level a lot. I still like this level a lot here, 42.48, 42.47.75. Those are levels that I'm still very interested in. There might be some stuff from this move down here that could be interesting, but when you're looking at this pre-market volume, it can be a little bit hard to say. So we've got like here and right up here. Okay, so those are, whoops, didn't mean to grab that. I meant to grab was this. I just want to see if I move this over, if that changes much. And yeah, a little bit. Maybe we'd really want to get our stop if we're going to try and take a trade off that. But it's just, this is so messy in here. I don't like how messy that is. It bothers me a bit, but we'd really probably want to just get our stop up above all this stuff if we're going to even consider trading something like that. And this one's so close to it that I just don't even know if it's worth even trying this, with the possibility that the price may want to go up to this one. So it's a little tricky because, again, just how messy this price action is. Now, we might get a better feel of that if we scale down to a lower time frame. We may get a better feel. But you see the trading in here was actually so thin, huge imbalances in here. Would not be surprised to see this get retraced. Again, this is that other very high volume area. Okay, very high volume area right here. So we want to be aware of that. Yeah, I'm gonna probably sit on my hands a little bit this morning and just see how price develops, because it's a little, in my opinion, it's just a little bit sketchy right now, and I just want to be cautious about that. So that's kind of what I have for you today. I'm gonna keep it simple today because, again, I just think the market seems to be still digesting the Fed announcements from Wednesday, and we just don't want to get caught in all this whipsaw stuff. So we'll kind of wait to see some clearer action. We're down below the bottom of this red channel again, which really then, as we start to make these lower highs and lower lows, right? Low, high, and swing down. So, okay, that's all I got for you right now. We'll see how things sort of pan out from here.